Welcome back to Always Learning, and what are we doing today? Well, today I woke up kind of feeling dangerous. So when you're feeling dangerous, kind of like Baker Mayfield, what do? Well, I get up and decide I'm going to make a French rolling pin. Why French? I don't know. I went to work for a French company last year. Maybe it's because I took 3 years in French and never learned how to pronounce more than a couple sentences. But I know I want to make a rolling pin because my mother-in-law just did a video on making a coconut meringue pie, and in there she talked about that on her wedding day she was given a rolling pin by a family friend, and it's been one of her kind of cherished heirlooms that she's had. So I kind of thought it'd be cool to make some of those for my daughters and for Jana and for Max's future wife that they may have. And if it goes well, I might make it for the rest of the family. We'll see how the first one goes. I kind of got a feeling it's going to be like NASCAR. You're either going to watch the video to see the end result, see what the end of the race looks like, or you're going to watch it to see a wreck, because we could crash and burn. I've talked to a couple of other people to go along on the journey. Pat and Weston have agreed to go along and help me make it. So if we lose an eye, if there's blood, if we lose a hand, finger, whatever it is, we'll post the content, because that's how you learn, is through failure. So I'm down here at the family homestead that's been in our family for over 100 years. And I thought if I was going to make a family heirloom, I would probably use wood from the family homestead. So we cut down a couple of trees a couple of years ago to make some slabs for the kids' altar tables. And there's some ash on the ground that was made from black walnut. So I'll probably grab some black walnut. I think there's a branch somewhere around here. You're looking for, if you're going to turn a limb into a French rolling pin, then you're really looking at something about 2 feet, 26 inches. And supposedly you want it start out about 7 inches around. When it's all done, it's only going to be about 2 inches around in the center. So I'm down here. As you can see, I've got the chainsaw, I've got a sled to haul the wood, a little bit of hatchet, some gloves, and a tape measure to measure. So we're going to get after it, and hopefully it turns out good. And if it does, I'm going to give away a French rolling pin on the channel. So we'll see. So stay with us and come along on the journey. We were able to get some ash and some black walnut, so we'll see how they shape up. So we got the wood, we're back at the shop, and I have Pat Noble, he's stuntman extraordinaire, and then I got my stunt double, Weston Bias, because I got the moneymaker. My agent told me I can't mess it up, so they're going to handle any of the tough looking stunts that might be dangerous, might put an eye out or lose a limb. I'm kidding. The lathe is pretty safe, it's pretty easy to operate, and we're going to try to turn this into a French rolling pin, so we'll see how it goes. We've never done it before. You ever used a lathe?
Never have. Nope.
Nope. 3 novices, so we're going to see if we can't make it safely and make it turn out cool. So stay with us.
So we got a piece of black walnut here, and we went ahead and rough cut it on we just use a chainsaw because that's what we have, but you can use a bandsaw or sawzall, whatever, get it to generally square-ish, and then you want to find the center on either end. And the way we did that is we used the speed square, but any straight edge, and just start making marks. And once you make 3 or 4 or 5 of them, where they all meet up is going to be pretty close to your center. And then once you have the center marked on both ends, and it's generally got all the knots, any branches are all cut off of it, then you can go ahead and stick it on your lathe.
Now looking at the lathe right here on this end, you've got what's called your head stop. It looks a little bit like this. What we're going to do is take this out, and we're going to take it, put it in the center of our piece of wood, and that'll sit on this end. Over here on this end, you got your tail stop, and this slides in and out like this to fit your piece of wood. And then right here, you have what is called your fence, and that allows you to rest your tools on there and slide evenly up and down the piece of wood. So all you need for this is any kind of marker. We're using a Sharpie and something to draw a circle around the top to get your diameter right for your circle. We're just using a nasty old shot glass we got here in the shop. So we'll set that on there.
I like this Dave and Buster's.
And we'll get it fairly centered. And just draw a circle like grade school.
Did you have shot glasses in grade school?
Yeah, we did. I went to Catholic school. So.
That's pretty good. Okay, Pat's going ahead and he's marking the center. We use a Phillips head screwdriver, but an awl or any sort of nail punch would work. Then he sets that headpiece right there in the center. Drives it in about a quarter of an inch or less, just so that it's seated in there and doesn't have any wiggle room to it. That's it. Now now that we got the headpiece drove into that end, go ahead and feed it into there. I think that's all the way in. And then we'll slide this tailpiece into the other end. Get it as close to center as you can. Now the spinning, you just want to adjust your tool rest. It goes in and out, up and down. You just want to adjust that so that it's pretty close to your piece of wood, but that it won't, you don't want it to catch on that furthest point in your piece of material.
So about a quarter inch.
About a quarter inch off your material. That'll do it.
All right, so starting off, we're going to start with what's called the roughing gouge, and it's just basically made for smoothing, and you're going to kind of stay at a 45 and just try to take all this extra wood off. Okay, so after a little excitement, we got it back up on the lathe. We made a few modifications. You want to make sure when you're doing lathing that it's that your piece is balanced, meaning that it's kind of equal on all sides. So when it starts rotating, it rotates in kind of a balanced fashion. Ours was out of balance, and that's what caused it. And so here we're just basically taking the rough gouge or rough chisel, and you're just smoothing it. You're taking off the corners, the rough edges, anything, and you're kind of going to get it down to where it's a round or tubular cylinder, and that's all we're basically doing here. This probably takes the longest because you're removing the most material. That's why you put the little circles at the end, so you kind of can look down when you take a pause to see how far you are from it. You'll also put calipers on it to see how you measure out on it. And then once you get it kind of rounded to the shape you want it, then you take what's called a parting chisel, and you simply stick that straight in, and what that does is it makes marks, and it tells you gives you guides of where you're gonna want to work the wood. And with this, we wanted it 12 inches in the center flat, and then we wanted it kind of tapered the last 4 inches on the side. So we used the parting tool to mark those 4-inch and then take it down with the parting tool to about where we wanted it. And then we came back with the big chisel and the smaller flat chisel and just then started taking off material, making it flat. And here Weston's just using the flat chisel to kind of remove material in that center part. And if you look closely, you can see there's a line where he gets kind of towards the end, and that's where that parting tool was to mark where that 4 inches where we want to taper it. Then we just came back with about a 16-inch piece of flat sandpaper and a board to use to kind of get that level where you're going to roll the dough or roll the pasta. And then after we kind of got that where we felt like we wanted it, checking with the calipers to make sure it was equal and looking at it with the T-square. Then we came back and Pat kind of used the smaller piece to taper the edges to kind of get them so they were closer to perfect with the sandpaper. And then we just sanded sanded it with the grain to make sure we took those out.
Well, there it is, final result. We got it pretty close with the chisels once we figured out what we were doing. And then we just let it spin on the lathe, and we took a big 16-inch sanding block to it, got it perfectly flat, and then we started to taper the ends down. We came in 4 inches on either side and tapered them down about an eighth of an inch over 4 inches. That way it's flat in the middle, and you've got nice tapered handles to roll it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. It. Yeah, put a little walrus wax on there, and that baby will pop.
All there is to it.
And then you sanded with the grain, right, at the end?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and at the end we hand sanded it with the grain. That way it takes out all the marks that the paper dug into it.
So after turning a piece of wood like this into a French rolling pin, we decided that we would give away this French rolling pin to a lucky subscriber of the channel. So you have to be subscribed to the channel, like the video, and share it with 5 friends, and then comment on the video before April 1st. And this French rolling pin could be yours.
Always good working with local legend Tim Kubik. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for tuning in.